good times. Big shout out to our man Sean Dowell. He's got 2 entries in tonight's giveaway for the draw and the clash. He's 51 years young, and he's been a student of this sport for 40 of those years. Lots of legends, but you guys are next level, technology or not. Texas has spoiled me, but I'm still learning. And, bro, man, the learning never stops. With or without the electronics, Fred and I were talking about how we both came up through this culture without all these high-tech gadgets. And Ben, too, he didn't do anything that he did prior to LiveScope, like with some kind of magic tool. He used his intuition and his experience and the things that he's learned the hard way to piece the puzzle. And it's interesting seeing the divide amongst electronics and how they influence our sport now. But I mean, that's a whole nother topic. Oh, let's dive into it just a little bit, Ben. Like you've experienced success with and without it. And I mean, you got guys on the extreme end of the spectrum, right? Like our friend Randy Blaukat is famous for his takes on his LiveScope rants. And man, I got enough respect for him for everything he's done in his career. But he represents one extreme view on the technology. And obviously you got everybody else that is like, man, this is the best thing that's ever happened to my fishing. Like, where do you stand on it? Like, what's your take? Good. How does it affect the sport in a good way? How does it affect the sport in a bad way? If it does,
I mean, it's a pretty weak take for someone that literally found ways to win tournaments by letting water into the bilge of their boat by pulling a plug or cutting with a chainsaw into backwaters to get a competitive advantage to win tournaments, to come out and say that a piece of technology that's advancing the sport by a sports sponsor that are the only reason that professional bass fishing is allowed to exist is wrecking the sport. And when you see that stuff and you see that stance that someone like him is taking, it's very clear that it is strictly in line with a lot of what he's doing, and that is clickbait to get views and bring out the negativity in the sport. And we can go into that as a whole thing with culture, is bring out all the negativity in the sport and how many more clicks and views all the YouTube and media and everything gets from posting negative things. What's wrong with the fishing industry? This has to be stopped. And he's latched onto that because he's old and he's all used up and he doesn't have a place in the industry anymore. And so he did that to I have a lot of respect for him for being an old man and being able to figure out how to post 72 videos a week on YouTube. But it's very obvious that he has taken that stance for financial gain, and he is pandering to people that can't afford it and don't understand it. I'll say it like it is.
Damn. So, wow. Bomb drop right
wow.
there. Girls,
there we go.
Right. What did you really feel though?
Yeah, okay. So to be honest, it's been crazy to see the people that are so adamantly against it. And it's flat out because, one, they don't understand it, or two, they can't afford it, and so they don't want to understand it. And that is like 90% of what I do and what I catch fish because of map study and because of Google Earth study and my experience based on how lakes set up, based on how they are with their mapping and what part of the country they're in, what time of year I'm fishing, from experience. And to say that LiveScope is even that much more valuable than mapping or side imaging or down imaging or 2D sonar it's another progression. And somewhere along the line, people have decided that if you can see a fish live, then that means that the technology's gone too far. But really, all it is it's a changing of times where everyone can have a voice on social media. Where when side scan came out, they didn't have that voice, and it was literally when side imaging came out. If you had it, you would win every tournament, and if you didn't have it, you would get your ass kicked offshore. That's the way it was, or at least that's the way it was in the Midwest. You could not be competitive for the couple of years when the guys that were either on the Humminbird Pro staff had it and no one else did, or the guys that had enough money had it, and I was in my freaking 16-foot of limit craft, like, well, I guess I'm just going to guess. And that's the way it was. and that's more valuable to me than being able to see a fish live. Now, I've done things now and figured things out that I think that you can figure out when you do it full time for a living and spend enough time behind it like I have to, where I can catch a lot of those fish using very refined baits and presentations. But there's so much more to it than just, oh, you can't even be competitive in a tournament without live scope. It's wrecking the industry. It's a joke.
You know what's not a joke? Official Catch Stories in his $25 super chat that gets him draw.
There we go.
My man. All right. Do some more super chats.
Dude, he just got roasted so bad, man.
One bit, man.
Shout out Randy if you're watching.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Randy.
Hey, a lot of respect for him as a tournament angler, but when you're going to come out with that weak stuff, and that's the only way you can get famous. That or talking about 72 videos about walleye cheaters in a part of the industry you're not even involved in to be for clicks, then congratulations.
Man, stand up comedy.
To